Hi guys, this is Extreme Really Carlos. Before I start on my video, on today's video, I wanna say to to my listeners listeners and listeners 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 or viewers listeners listeners discretioners and viewers discretion is advised. So on today's video, I'm gonna give you my thoughts and my review of the History of the World Part 2 Episode 1 by Mel Brooks review. Season 1 Episode 1 review. So here we go, guys. The first thing I really enjoyed about this first episode of the History of the World Part 2 by Mel Brooks was that we got to see Mel Brooks himself introduce us back into the history of the world Part 2. He transformed himself into a younger version of himself. So now let's get down to the episode. The first thing I laughed at was the Kama Sutra, or in Mel Brooks and the History of the World Part 2 case, by Mel Brooks' case, was the Kama Sutra, where the Kama Sutra himself had the book on display. He was talking to two of his friends, and he showed them, his two friends, the book. In the book he had images of many positions that you could do and but the funny part was that he had soups, many different soups in the pictures, with images of the positions. So that was the first thing I laughed at. The second thing that I laughed at out of the first episode of the History of the World Part 2 by Mel Brooks was that Nicholas II, got that Nicholas II and his family were obviously trapped in their house before they got killed. But Nicholas in the History of the World Part 2 by Mel Brooks, in the episode, Nicholas II was performed by Danny DeVito, and he brought, of course, his comedy from his style of comedy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I loved the way that Danny DeVito made fun of Nicholas II. So I love that part. The third part that I really enjoyed, but it's the first sketch that we see in the first episode, was that we got to see the Civil War, but in Mel Brooks' eyes, in Mel Brooks' eyes, we see the Civil War with General Ulysses S. Grant not being the general that U.S. history books tell us that he is or that he was. He can't stop drinking. He can't stop drinking. He's basically a full-time drunk. And Abraham Lincoln says, "Dude, stop it. If you don't stop it, I'm gonna disgeneral you." And the funny thing, and one of the funny things about the Civil War part in the episode was that Abraham Lincoln brings that Abraham Lincoln's son Todd Lincoln persuades his father Abraham Lincoln to join the Union Army. Robert Todd Lincoln persuades his father to join the army, and obviously, as the good father and reluctant father that he is, in a funny way, in the Mel Brooks funny way, Abraham Lincoln agrees to let his son Robert Todd Lincoln to join the army, but he wants the unstoppable drunk version of General Grant to keep an eye on him, and basically hilarity ensues. And when Abraham Lincoln says, "I want you to stop drinking," to General Grant, obviously Grant is sitting down in his chair, and he rips off the armrest from his chair. I thought that was funny. So now the fourth part that I really enjoyed about episode 1 of the History of the World part 2 by Mel Brooks was that we got to see the caveman, or in this case, cave woman, go woo, because what I'm saying woo because they got very, 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 very happy. Not drunk, but they got very, very high on, basically very high on weed. And as many of you know, Mel Brooks has a dark humor in his sketches and in his comedy. So I thought that was funny. And now the fifth part that I really enjoyed about episode 1 was that we got to travel to Shakespeare's time, when William Shakespeare, well, we didn't see Shakespeare physically, but we saw that, but we see that he has his own writing room where there's his writers are discussing ideas for his next play to write. but they argue. And Josh Gad, one of the head commanding editing writers, says to goes crazy when one of the writers says, you stole my idea, but you basically said what I said. You said what I said, but you turned it into your own idea. You basically stole what I originally said, but you turned it into your own idea. And Josh Gad, who played this head writer, went crazy on all the writers, and he basically knocked out his, I want to say, secretary man, and I thought that was funny. But overall, I really enjoyed this first episode of The History of the World, Part 2 by Mel Brooks. So guys, leave a like, and let me know what you liked about this episode, about episode 1 of The History of the World by Mel Brooks, Part 2. Let me know what you liked about The History of the World, Part 2 by Mel Brooks, and let me know which historical figure would you like to see next in would you like to see if you were able to create something like your own History of the World Part 2 series. Which historical figure would you put in your own version of The History of the World by Mel Brooks Part 2? So, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and let me know what part of episode 1 or which historical figure you thought was the funniest in episode 1, and also let me know if you could create your own History of the World Part 2, which historical figures would you put in or insert yourself in your own episode of The History of the World Part 2. In my case I would put Lance Armstrong, or no, wait, Neil. I would put FDR. I would put FDR, Rosa Parks, and of course Bonnie and Clyde. So thank you guys. So again, thank you guys for watching, and leave a like and let me know. Leave a like and a comment and let me know which historical figure was your favorite in episode 1, and let me know if you could make your own History of the World Part 2 by Mel Brooks. Which historical figures would you insert yourself in your own History of the World Part 2 by Mel Brooks if you could. So bye.